Hey everybody, it's Drew. So welcome back. So in this video, I'm going to build the Academy 148 scale IL-2 Sturmovik, and this is going to be a full build from start to finish. And hang around to the end, I'd appreciate it. And I'll have some final thoughts about the kit and some recommendations. So sit back and relax and enjoy, and let's build a model. And of course, we're going to start with the cockpit. And I did do an inbox review of this kit. That's my previous video, and there'll be a link in the description and also at the end in the end screen. So check that out if you want to see a detailed overview of the sprues and stuff. But yeah, we're going to get going here on the cockpit, and everything seems to fit pretty well. There's a lot of locator holes and pins for a lot of these side consoles and the control sticks, and yeah, so. And there are a few little control parts that you put into the sides of the fuselage. It can be a bit fiddly. And the rear landing gear is all one piece, so it fits in pretty snug. And when you get the cockpit all assembled, I set it aside to basically cure up and moved on to assembling the nose section, and we're going to start building the wing spar area, which you're actually going to set the cockpit on and attach to the bottom of the fuselage, as you'll see coming up. And here I'm just gluing the assembled cockpit into the bottom of the, well, this would be the top of the wing assembly, and this is gonna, as you'll see, is gonna shove up into the bottom of the assembled fuselage. And here I'm gonna assemble the landing gear bays, just to move ahead a little bit. And you notice too that the landing gear doors are molded onto the parts. And now we're gonna get some primer on all the areas are going to be the same interior color, and I decided to use this Model Masters neutral gray. There's a lot of debate online on forums about what the actual color was. Sometimes the color callouts in the instructions aren't very accurate. In fact, this one calls for gray-green, but I read some forums and people who seem to be in the know maybe recommended that you just use a flat neutral gray, no blues, anything like that. And there is a decal for the instrument panel, and worked out pretty well. And I'm just going to give everything a little wash of this Citadel New Oil wash, and we'll move on. And now it's time to start putting it all together. And for large parts, I like to use slower setting liquid cement. So in this case, I'm still using Model Master liquid cement. Again, it's now extinct. So I really like this stuff, and I wish it wouldn't have been pulled off the market, or when Model Masters folded under the new ownership of Rust-Oleum. So there we go. So the elevators, rudder, and ailerons all have trim control tabs or rods, and they're called flattener rods. And you might be wondering, hey, what does Drew know so much about what these parts are called? Well, it's because I'm using in addition to the instructions with the kit, I'm using the Accurate Miniatures instructions, which has a lot of narrative and part names, and I will share that with you at the end. It's highly recommended you get these instructions off of ScaleMates, so I'll put a link in the description for those. But yeah, it tells you what the parts are called and gives you a lot of narrative on where they go and where to put them. So again, I'll share that with you at the end. So you have to put the exhaust pipes in from the front, because if you put them in the sides, as a lot of normal kits would do, the radiator intake assembly that's inside there would have interfered with it. And so now I'm going to get some primer on the plane. This is Badger Stynylrez gray primer, and I cleaned up the fuselage and the wings just with some alcohol cleaner. And yeah, I'll get some primer on and get some paint. Okay, the kit instructions has FS callouts for the primary colors, and that's what I'm going to use, the FS numbers, because I don't have a set of Russian paints, Russian colors, so I'm using the FS numbers and matching that up with the paints I have. So this is Vallejo Model Air's pale blue, and once I get that on, I add a little bit of white to the mix and do some highlights to show some fading and add a little bit of interest. So this is my favorite way of paint, basically color modulation, is do some post shading. And yeah, so basically you just light it up, airbrush some highlights, especially on control surfaces, and then you can go back over it with a real highly thin mix of the base color and blend it all together. So again, this one I'm going with a USAF Brown. Again, it matches the FS colors that are in the instructions. Whether that's entirely accurate, I don't know. I'm sure someone's going to say it's the wrong shade or whatever, but these are these are models that were planes that were often camoed in the field very hastily. As you see, I'm freehanding the camo because, again, I don't think, especially this plane I'm doing is from 1943. Probably, I would assume, almost the Battle of Kursk. It was an unknown, and so yeah, I'm just freehanding it because these were often freehanded in the field. So now we're going to move on to the green. Again, I'm using the FS callouts, and this is going to be whatever that FS something. I can't read it from here, but this is US dark green, and yeah, I think it works okay. Again, I think maybe the rivet counters might point out, oh, it's the wrong shade or whatever, but hey, I'm happy with it, so that's what we're going to do. And again, on these colors, on the tan and the green, I did some post shading, just lightened up the mix with some white, and went in and airbrushed some highlights. So I think I got a good effect with that. So after I got everything painted, I put a coat of gloss varnish on it, and it's time to get on with the decals. Now the decals gave me some fits. They like to curl on themselves, and so for the number of decals this kit has, which shouldn't take you maybe 30 minutes, boy, it took me almost over an hour to put these decals on, because if you're not careful, they would curl on you, and yeah, so had some issues with them. So once the decals had set, I put a coat of semi-gloss varnish on it. It seems to work really well with clay-based washes, or the clay-based washes work better with a semi-gloss varnish. They stick a little bit better. So as you see on the bottom, I use the Grime and from Flory washes, and then on the top, I'm using the dark dirt. So yeah, basically it's pretty simple. You just wipe it on, and once it's done, you just wipe it off. I will spare you that. And here I'm going to put the landing gear in. These were a little tricky because I had pre-assembled them, and not quite aware that you have to angle them, and so I had to bend them a little bit. Just use some super glue, but they finally fit in there okay. And I'm going to attach the rockets and the bombs here. So the tires are weighted, meaning they have a flat spot to simulate, sitting on the ground. So you got to get them lined up. Unfortunately, I accidentally cut the little tabs off the landing gear where they fit into the wheel rim. So made that mistake, so I had to super glue them together. So it took me a while to finagle them to get them set correctly. All right, guys, I finished everything up off camera, and all the little pitot tubes and the canopies situated, and I think I'm going to call it good. So here she is. Here's the 148 scale Academy, or Accurate Miniatures, IL-2 Sturmovik, and I think it came out pretty good. You see down there a little bit. That means for the family in Ukrainian. And I rigged it with Easy Line Turn it over. And it came with one decal you can put on the bombs. We actually had a couple more decals, but they were black. So if you wanted to paint the bombs in green, or sometimes they were in just natural metal, so I'll just put one on that one. And I'm not quite sure what it says. I know that first word says front, or means front, but I had a hard time with these last two, trying to get Google Translate to pick them up, but maybe someone out there could read that for us and let us know in the comments what that means. I'll give you a good shot of it there. And again, the kit came with, you could go with flattened wheel tires or weighted tires, or regular round, unweighted. But that's it. That's the extent of my weathering, is just putting a wash on and leaving some behind and just making it a little bit dirty. I'm not big on chipping. It just doesn't work for me. Not saying anything's wrong with it. It's just I just don't do that to my models. I don't know why, but it just doesn't appeal to me anyway. But you build yours how you want to, and I'll build mine how I want them to look. So that's modeling. But overall, the kit, went together okay. Accurate miniatures. If you ever built an accurate miniatures kit, you kind of know what I'm maybe talking about. But they look great when you're done. But you do get some strange engineering, the way things are, go together, and the way parts fit together, that sort of thing. Just sometimes you got to just take your time and make sure you test fit pieces, and before you start gluing stuff up. And the problem with that is sometimes you get some gaps and things like that. But otherwise, I think it turned out pretty good. And I want to give you a couple pointers if you're going to build this kit. The decals, I don't know, they like to roll up on themselves. Even though they look pretty good, they settle down into panels and stuff really nice. They fought me, and so I often had them, curl under each other, or curl under on itself, and that's a pain. And so I don't know, if you can get a aftermarket set or something like that, I would probably go for that the next time I build the model. I would suggest that. Another thing you want to do is you want to go to Scale Mates and get the instructions for the Accurate Miniatures kit. And here's why. Here's the Academy instructions that they put in. It's kind of weak. I mean, some things you're like, well, where does this go? Where's the slot? That sort of thing. And there's no narrative. But if you get the Accurate Miniatures instructions, it's going to give you a lot of narrative about how things should go together, where things would fit. It even tells you what the parts are called, so you know a little bit about the Sturmovik, and what is this thing? This long rod. 84. It is where's that? I skimmed through it, but basically it's an elevator push-pull rod. It says right there. Okay. Now I didn't bother sizing this up or anything like that. I just printed it out, and gonna put your bifocals on. But you can also just go to Scale Mates and have the instructions up on your iPad or computer. I'm gonna put a link in the description, so you can just click on that. But this is highly recommended. It'll even give you a little bit of some history about certain parts and or at least a little bit about the aircraft. I didn't know that this is the gunner's seat. He has a sling seat, and basically he just either stand, and when he wants to sit down in the back, he just sits in his little sling seat, It even has they even put a comment. Now cement the gunner's sling seat into the locators on the fuselage halves and the rear gunner's compartment. It looks comfortable, doesn't it? So I don't know why. I kind of appreciate that. It's kind of fun. So definitely want to get this instruction set. It's the exact same part numbers and diagrams as you're going to get with the kit instructions in Academy, but you're not going to get a lot of the details and stuff. In fact, you know, for example, has these cannons on the Academy, and it says it's an option. Well, if you read the accurate miniatures instructions, it says that these cannons were put into the kit for later versions. So basically, you don't want to use these cannons if you're doing the box art, that sort of thing. So that's why I would suggest definitely getting the accurate miniatures instructions. And so I'll put a link in the description so you can just go to it, pull them up, download a PDF, and have them ready. And if you're confused, you can just read their instructions. And again, it has nice narratives and tells you what's the appropriate gunner's canopy for the box art, that sort of thing. Okay, I didn't do the box art. I chose to do the Unknown 1943 because the reason why I did that is that a lot of these that are you get with a kit, every time I look up 148 scale Sturmoviks on YouTube, they often always do like this one or the box art. I think the Tamiya kit includes several of these versions as well. So I want to do something a little different. And yeah, so had fun with it. So I appreciate that they give you that option. So there she is, boys. I'll have some still photos. And again, thanks for joining me here. Appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, I invite you to do so. And I will see you on the next build. Take care, everybody. This is Drew signing off. We'll see ya. Bye-bye.